cards on the table, sending out a message in a bottle. Came in through the door like a hurricane, and I hope you won't get fickle, 'cause you swept me up mine. I'm losing my cool when I'm here right next to you. I'm losing my cool. Yeah, I'm losing my cool when I'm under your control. I'm losing my cool. Yeah. Keeping the shades on though there's dark clouds, 'cause if you look in my eyes you would see it all. And I gotta keep my head above the surface, oh yeah. But your waves pulled me in and I can't hold it back again. I'm losing my cool when I'm here right next to you. I'm losing my cool. Yeah, I'm losing my cool when I'm under your control. I'm losing my cool. Yeah, I'm losing my cool.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the final regular season edition of Esports Weekly. We'll be having some as we get ready for placements and HRX and DreamHack, but this is our final regular season edition, and for that, thanks for joining us. We got a big show for you here today. No SPL to go over for predictions, of course, but we will be recapping the SPL, everything that happened during Week 6. A little bit of what's going to go on in the placement stage, though, like I said, we'll have an Esports Weekly dedicated to that later on. Instead of the SPL predictions this week, we're going to be doing minor league predictions for these best-of-3 round robins that you'll see today and tomorrow. But as I said, we're going to go ahead and do the normal thing at the beginning here. We got a full house today, so for that, on the desk, I've got Anatoly and John Finch. Welcome, gentlemen. You guys excited to never have to do this again, at least for a little bit longer?
Yeah, the less I can see of you, the better.
Yeah. I am going to miss you guys a little bit, but, you know, it's nice not to wake up this early.
I wish I could say this.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see us still. It's just that we won't be doing Esports Weekly as often because there isn't going to be regular season games to do.
I like Esports Weekly, too. Okay, I miss them both.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Everything is going to get missed here. What? Not by us. But it is by us. You know what I mean. All right, let's go over the SCL. A big week, of course, as we wrapped up Week 6 yesterday. The way that the Xbox teams shook out is we should have the standing by. Rival and Astro Authority, they're going straight to Worlds. But it was Flashpoint beating Elevate that ended up sending Flashpoint to those placement round lands.
That was a very dominant set, I would say, from Flashpoint. It looked a little iffy in the first game, but the second game was just no joke. Despite playing a little bit unorthodox traditionally from what you're used to seeing, Flashpoint was able to stretch their god pools and really stick it to Elevate.
And I was kind of expecting it to be Flashpoint that did end up making it. You know, they do have a lot of that core from, I guess, a year ago back with Myth, right? Jump on that roster as well. So it's not too surprising to expect them to be there. But Astral really are the ones it feels like everyone's looking up at over there in North America. That team is so strong, so consistently. I expect Flashpoint to give them a good run for their money, but it all starts with Astral.
I'm excited to see how Astral does with Chapo in support. We haven't been able to see them since he joined there. Interested in how he's doing back on the controller. As for the European side, Noxious able to punch their ticket. They are coming to land towards those placements. Do you think that historically the second seed EU team has very much struggled at the international level? Do you think Noxious has what it takes to change that, or do you think it'll be more of the same?
I'd be shocked if they perform, honestly, at the LAN setting. But hey, who knows? Anything can happen because the way you play online versus the way you play at LAN, it brings out a different inner being within certain individuals. So that could be the case for Noxious. A lot of just LAN rookies to show up, but Rival, on the other hand, veterans.
What do you think your inner being is named when you play at LAN, Finch? I'm going to ask you first.
Oh, what my inner being is named? Darstar.
Oh, right. Darstar, of course. Anatoly, do you have a name for...
No comment. You don't want to know that.
All right. I don't want to know that, apparently. As for PS4, a little bit different. The top teams needed to end up going in. Insomnia was able to take a big win over Freaks T1 to guarantee that they are coming to land, and then In Control did the same up against Strictly Business.
It's all up in the air over there in PS4, doesn't it? It feels like all these teams are so close. Throughout fall, every time I go into the set, just kind of like on default, I'm trying to build up these storylines, and in my head, I'm like, we still don't really know. It's so new. All these teams are all so close. So I'm looking forward to it. In Control has seemed, and the meme is now a meme. In Control so far. I imagine that they'll look strong, but it's been tough to say. I would really say so far. We've seen really good stuff from Insomnia as well over there in Europe.
In Control does manage to punch their ticket despite being 5-1 alongside Coalition. In Control with the better plus minus, and that leads us to the console wars coming your way this year.
Is that what we're calling it?
The Smite console wars. That's exactly right.
I learned that literally just now.
Normally, I try my best to be impartial up here on the analyst desk and all that kind of stuff, but let's go box, because console wars means that I can now definitively say that the Xbox controller is better than the PlayStation.
So you say Xbox controller, but I'm looking at the logos, and In Control's logo is by far the superior one. It's a freaking bear with a sleeveless hoodie on, smoking a cigar, having a sawed-off shotgun behind him. How can they not take it all?
And In Control's looked really good. I expect them to be able to get that matchup, by the way.
Insomnia has looked pretty good as well. In Control looked a little bit shaky these last 2 weeks, I'd say, but I would agree that In Control is the favorite just because of the experience they have on that roster. It's Covey, it's Joltak. Those are guys who have been around for a long time. Wheezy or Outbound in that ADC role as well. So remember, those are going to be coming. That'll be November 16th through the 18th, the same time during DreamHack Atlanta is what's going on. Before that, the console wars are going to be there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you tune in whenever those are going on. November 3rd is when those console wars start. All right, let's move on to the minor league. We're going to go over a quick little recap here, but we'll go more in depth on what we expect to see for these round robins later on. But we'll start with Europe in the way that Optimus Gang continues to struggle without Johnny, but Poppy's able to punch their ticket with an impressive 2-0 last week.
Should be interesting considering that they started off with a slow start, but then the second half of the split, they started to ramp their way up, and the same opposite can be said about Optimus Gang, where they were on fire in the beginning and then started to slow it down. I think Insignum is the team to really talk about out of Europe that's been consistent throughout the whole entire year from all three splits.
No, I imagine Insignum are certainly the top card at this point. It's just kind of a heartbreaker, man. Optimus Gang have been such a great storyline, and their down tick can almost be directly correlated to no more Johnny being around. They've had some trouble getting him in. So, we'll certainly see if they can turn things around without him. But I don't know. If they don't have him, I think Optimus Gang step up a little bit. And they're second in my mind up against Insignia to see which one of those two are the ones that make it.
I agree. I think with Johnny, Optimus Gang would have been the favorite here later on today. But without him, Optimus Gang look like they might be looking up at Insignum. Before we move on to the standings, let's take a look at what happened in North America towards the bottom end of this graphic. Armada able to look very, very good and make sure that they are in that top three. Very nice to me. Fell to Sanguine, and Sanguine going 2-0 means that they are also in that top three. North America will be on Wednesday, so tomorrow starting at 11 a.m. It'll be very nice to me, Armada and Sanguine. And at the beginning of this split, and even halfway through, it felt like Very Nice to me was kind of a lock for that. But Armada's played better, and with Sanguine beating up on Very Nice to me on Friday, I think that throws some real question marks in the air.
I agree, and that set, or that best of one between Armada and Classified was very close. Classified was very close to even qualifying for the top 3, so those top 4 teams very close, neck and neck between each other, but it's going to be a different story once they actually, whichever of those 3 teams make it to the LAN setting, how they're going to stack up against some of the Global Series teams or maybe even the Pro League teams.
And it is going to be a readjustment. Remember, they were doing best of 1s online this whole time. We're now moving into the best of 3 format, and it is very different. You know, maybe it'll work for your game 1, but are you going to be able to close it out in game 2 and or 3 if you need to? So I think that might favor Very Nice to me a little bit if it is going to be those longer matches where they can have some time to adjust and let their experience come through. But if that isn't enough for them, then it really is a toss-up. Sanguine and Armada looking so good, the back half of the split made these placements such a big deal.
Classified, as Tolly mentioned, just short of qualifying for that top 3, but the top and the bottom between NA is a very noticeable difference. I mean, 1 and 9 for both Cryptic and Ranked All-Stars. That leads to some really good records for the top half of the league because they're able to beat up on the bottom side throughout this fall split. Again, these best of 3 round robins begin right after Esports Weekly today. It'll be Europe starting at 11 a.m., and you can check that out. And then again on Wednesday. So we'll be going over the schedule a little bit later alongside our predictions. But let's take a look at the SGS because some teams needed to get some wins today or last week in order to make sure they are able to come towards that placement round LAN. Black Dragons end up missing this LAN. Oof. It'll be a representative from Brazil outside of Black Dragons.
I believe it's No Ping that's coming from Brazil. Yeah, it's very surprising that Black Dragons.
Is it No Ping or is it ETES? Because ETES, I believe, is the team that...
Was it ETES?
It may have been. I'm not sure, actually.
It is
No Ping. No, good call, Finch. That's on me. Yeah, it's No Ping. So despite Black Dragons finding that victory, No Ping is going to be the representative.
And this is the first time we're not going to be seeing Black Dragons that Brazil representative since, I believe, Season 1 Worlds, where it was like, what, 404 somewhere from that region, making it instead. And I think that this is going to hit them pretty hard. This is going to be a wake-up call, I think, for them heading into Season 6.
And check out Nocturnes Gaming losing to Pico's Land. So that's a huge loss for Nocturnes. I think they are still okay, but I think that says something. They're losing a set, not just a game, but a set in their region. Atletico is able to 3-2 in sight to punch their ticket as we can take a look at the standings to see who the representatives will be from each region. Again, it is No Ping sitting at 6-0 so far this split. Must have had that a little switched up before, but they are your Brazilian representatives. Atletico finished their perfect split and Get On My Level will be your representative from Southeast Asia. Nocturnes do manage to go, but Pico's Land very, very close. Yeah. Nocturnes going on the plus-minus. And then Loto Gaming instead of Why So Serial coming from LATAM North.
And that could switch things up for Nocturnes as well because it was such a back-and-forth matchup between Nocturnes and Why So Serial. So we'll see how those LATAM teams face off against each other.
That's definitely interesting to watch, but I think that you're right to point out that loss to Picos. I think if you want to be an international team with a chance to beat an SPL team, you need to have been dominant in your region at the very least.
Yeah.
Coming out of it to try and beat one of these teams. Nocturnes a team I had high hopes for, but if they had some struggles just getting here, then they're definitely going to struggle in the actual placements. I'm very interested in those matchups up against like SML and bottom SPL. Though.
Yeah, I believe they go up against Luminosity first.
Yeah,
round,
I think they get 6 seeds if they're Brazil and or Nocturne. They get 6 seeds from each region.
So we'll see. It should be an interesting matchup. Excited to watch that one. Let's go into the SPL then, since we're just started discussing that placement round. We'll start with Dignitas and Obey. They played up on Tuesday. Obey Alliance able to take a big 2-1 victory up over Dig, but that wasn't the only big game of the week. We'll also be going over Splice versus Space Station. Splice punching their ticket to DreamHack Atlanta, skipping out on the placements with that victory. Lots of big games overall in this week.
And the way Dignitas plays is just such long games in general, so it's no surprise to me that Obey, doing their homework, were able to adapt to that. Zalia played a fantastic game, being able to set up. I think Pretty Prime had a remarkable standing. Captain Twig with his Mercury Frostbound Hammer is still just ripping through.
That's the Bruiser Mercury build, patented by Captain Twig, and if it's working for him, why try and fix it? He's been impressive so far. Let's go into that Dig Obey match a little bit more, because this is a matchup that I think, on paper, it's supposed to be close, but Dignitas is better, right? Like that's kind of the idea, but that really isn't what ended up happening.
I say they were better for the first 4 weeks, and then week 5 happened, and then all of a sudden Dignitas lost to Energy. They start losing to Obey Alliance, and they look like not the undefeated team that we all thought they were. You know, the team that were trying to get revenge for their lackluster summer performance.
Yeah, Obey really have looked so much stronger, I would say, just on the back half of fall, really all of this fall split in general. And it makes them another contender up there, right? It really feels like they're right there with Dignitas and Energy. They got that all-important third place that secures you that first round bye within the placement stages itself, so they don't have to fight right away there. It's very important that they were able to grab this win and get to third place and try and give them the best possible shot, because now Rival, who ended up in fourth, they're kind of down in the trenches. That's what this match set up.
Yeah, Rival now looking up at Obey Alliance and Team Dignitas and Energy, the fourth seed in Europe, who, man, you would have told me that during spring, I would have been like, what happens? You know, who gets sick for all split long? Because Rival has kind of been floundering. But again, we're not doing our placement round predictions yet. That'll be a little bit closer to those placement rounds. For now, we're just going over what happened in this week 6 of the SPL. What happened in week 6 was Space Station took an L to Splice in a really, really important set where the winner ended up missing out on these placement rounds, going straight to DreamHack, and Splice secures second seed in NA.
There's a difference between online and LAN performances. I think Splice are just really making it happen between Mosswall playing, you know, a lot of these immobile mages, some healers here and there, really throwing any opposition for a loop. And Divios and Aurora together, these North American Bruise brothers that I want to kind of put out there, have been the whole staple and foundation that allows Splice the victories.
And what makes Splice so strong is they can win a lot of different ways. There are some rounds where Cyclone Spin and Aurora get so far ahead in the duo lane that they're able to kind of steal away jungle, and that gives some pressure over to Sino in the jungle as well, and you kind of lose it right from minute 1. But then there's games where they're willing to go all the way like 40, 50 minutes, and then it's like the Divio show, it feels like, right? Or Moswell finds some big damage out of the mid lane as well. This team has so many different win conditions, and we saw that here against Space Station, because I believe they won 1 and 3. They were very different games.
And I think that the draft really hurt Space Station in game number 3 specifically. They last picked Vulcan for Veneno, I remember, against Sino's Naja, and that's definitely not the play. It was also an Artie, I believe, for Aurora, where the cripple destroys the backfire. So I think Space Station needs to reevaluate their picks and bans heading into LAN.
Yeah, I remember Space Station picks a Circuit into the RDO, and then Aninster gets off to a good lead, and then dies trying to kill Aurora, and respawns, walks towards his back Harpies, and gets killed again.
A Splice special, by the
way.
Right,
the only team in the world that would do it to you. But they do it to you, and they get the second seed in North America, which is critical. And there was a couple matches that were really critical for seeding in NA that ultimately led up to a tiebreaker between CLG and Trifecta. Now, we weren't able to broadcast that game, but Trifecta able to take a 2-0 victory over CLG. I think that really does show how far CLG still needs to go and how good Trifecta is right now.
I think Sanford Soccer is transitioning a little bit better in Trifecta than currently Mast is in CLG. A lot of growing pains probably. Also, Sanford Soccer has been there a little bit longer, so that could have been a helpful benefit.
Yeah, and it's not too surprising, right? CLG, that change doesn't feel like an instant we want to run right this second. It feels very much placement stage focused, so they'll probably be much better there when they have some time. But this Trifecta team, I don't know. I feel like they're legitimate. Maybe not, you know, I'm not saying they're up there with Splice and United right now, but definitely a team in a position, I think, to do well in the placement stages. Sam has looked more like he fits into this team every week. They don't need him to be masked. They just need him to kind of do his job, and I think that's what he's done more and more for that team.
I agree. I think that Trifecta is a team to watch out for at those placements. I think CLG can be as well. I mean, what, 3 weeks between now and the placement?
Plenty of time.
So there's plenty of time for them to get working and try and get some synergy going there for Mast in the jungle. But Trifecta end up as your 4th seed in North America. So that leaves us with the placements and where everyone is going to be sitting there. So we should have a bracket that we can show you what's going on.
Man.
As I mentioned, it'll be Luminosity up against Nocturnes coming from LATAM. These are some really, really strong games that we'll see even in round 1 of these placements.
I agree. I think that even anyone against Mousesports and needs to watch out at the end of the day, because they have looked a little, not confusing, but just unpredictable in what they're trying to do.
I think if you're a North American team that has to play them, you're really worried. Again, those to be determined. Those are the SML teams that still have to play in. So Trifecta will be going up against SML EU. Rival going up against SML NA as well. So it's a very scary bracket, I think, for everyone. I mean, look where Trifecta are going, even if they win up against SML, potentially Mouse, who you don't want to play early on, then potentially Obey, maybe Nocturnes, or whoever wins at LATAM can make some noise, and they might even make it through. It's a scary bracket no matter where you are.
Man, I don't know. That bottom side of the bracket is brutal, though. I mean, you've got
rough too,
Rival, the EU or NASML winner, excuse me, and then CLG and Space Station all on the same side of the bracket. Remember, there is a loser's part of this. I mean, you can take one loss and drop down to the
Right.
loser side, but this is looking tough.
If history repeats itself, Rival should be able to face off against Space Station. And Space Station has been struggling against European teams in the spring and the summer. So I'm already predicting Rival to go into the finals out of that bottom side. And from the top side, it's got to be either Obey or Mousesports also. But keep in mind, Obey is not going to be potentially playing with that full roster either.
Yeah, we'll certainly have a chance to see how everything will shape up on that end. But that's why those matches we saw towards the end of the SPL were so important, right? You can see already just that bye that you get from through the first round for Obey could be huge, because not only do you get to sort of watch everyone play that first day and see what might be potentially valued, see if something can kind of be forced to be shown, but then you'll have some extra time to prep, make sure you're ready for that round 2. And there's those 4 teams that make it right to DreamHack as well. It's so much competition, so many good teams that's why every single match is important towards the end of the split.
It's going to be huge, and then we can't wait for those placement rounds. We also have the HRX DreamHack sort of set up and ready to go. It's Team Dignitas, Splice, E United, and Energy all awaiting their competition. But to be on the bottom side of this bracket as well looks very, very intimidating, because you've got the 2 last defending world champions. I mean, the last 3 years of world titles are on the bottom side of this bracket.
These are some really scary teams to face off against. Now, Splice, showing what they're capable of in the North American online portion, is left a little to be desired to see how they can transition that to the LAN setting. And this is the highest stages of all of Smite for them to do it. So a little question mark up in there to see if they can still keep that performance going.
And I believe Splice are considered the 4th overall between these 4 teams. So I think they're the ones that play the winner of the placement bracket. So potentially the toughest matchup right out of the gate for Splice as well. It does not get any easier. I know they got the bye all the way there, and I just got through saying how important it is. It's no one easy waiting for you when they get there.
No, you got it. You made it there. Congratulations. Your reward is now incredibly difficult games the rest of the way. But that's the way you got to do it, man. And you got to beat the best teams if you want to be the best.
That's
and
it. Yeah.
Splice and the rest of everybody else who make it the DreamHack Atlanta are certainly going to be trying to do that. As we usually do, we've got our top plays and top fails from week 6, and for that, we've got F-Dot standing by.
Hey, I'm back. I'm here, and we're back again. Final week of the SPL in the books. Really exciting stuff. But it's time to talk about the top plays as always. 3 of them this time around. And the first one, well, Replay guy really likes looking at Fire Giant steals. Sino steals the Fire Giant with a basic attack. So let's take a look. Sick. I guess it's all about context when it comes down to it. Realistically, watching the little turtle guy get in there and getting the Fire Giant, I guess I'm a fan. Number 2, though, now this is the big stuff. Quadra kill for zeros, and guess what? It's not the Morrigan. Let's take a look at number 2. Freya's got a tendency to kind of do that to people, right? Just tear people up on the ground and then in the sky. Well, here's another guy that has a tendency to do that. Number 1 play of week number 6 in the SPL. What a surprise. It's Baskin. Boom. Boom. That whole game is worth the highlight reel. Just go back and watch Baskin play Scylla. Picks and bans, they pick the Scylla with really no reason, and then he just goes, hey, guess what? I'm going to do the thing. And Scylla, Blink Scylla, mind you, runs the entire game. Really cool stuff. You want to watch the whole game. That's it for our top plays. But of course, we have a top fail. Bakasura has been really hot lately. But what happens if you're just not good enough? Well, the cool thing about Bakasura is you've got the NPCs on your side. Let's look at Diesel right here. Screw everything up, but still wind up on the good side. He's got the homies. I love the I love that camera angle that we got, right? Where he gets impaled against the wall and then you watch him die from his view and then you just see the little homies kind of take it out. That's a fun one. Anyway, I'm joined here on the couch with Finch and Mr. Aggro. We're going to have some fun. Aggro, how's it going, bud?
It's going pretty well. Thanks for letting us know we're going to have some fun. You good there, Finch?
Just wanted to make sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I wouldn't want the audience to miss a second of what's about to happen here.
Can we shut his mic off?
Right. Yes, I wouldn't want that either. So normally during these meta discussions, we kind of talk about what you can expect in the weeks to come. We don't have a lot of Smite in the weeks to come. We got a little bit of a downtime. As I've been saying, we got a special show planned for placements and things thereafter. So instead, I think that we should look at the things that have already happened. And I intentionally left this pretty open. What are some of the things that stood out to you about maybe meta or teams this season, not just in fall, but I think all year long?
For me, the biggest thing, and I've been saying this for a while now, is just how open the damn game is. And I love it. I've been looking for this game for a long time. I'm going to mention another MOBA. Sorry. Dota's openness has always enticed me. I'm a Smite player because I want to aim my shots. I love the third-person perspective. But the ability to play any character in any position is really, really interesting. And we've got Nox support. We have Assassin solo. We have Mages jungle. We have Hunters. That's the game I want to play. We tend to butt heads about Mouse's approach. Listen, I don't think that they're the world champions anytime soon, but the idea that they can have their own playbook, come in and beat top teams is a testament to how cool the game is right now.
How many wins did Mouse get with 2 Hunters in the duo lane?
That's not the one I was defending.
Okay. I would just like to be very clear about
It's not that great.
No. The idea of Tanky Cherio and
Sure.
when Dardes was playing
Sure.
Nox.
Yep.
Even the Agni, like the mentality is cool, and I like that approach because realistically, stepping away from Mouse into the stronger teams, we do see Baskin play Apollo mid and
Sure.
just wreck. We do see Divios play Pele solo and just wreck. So that's really cool to me.
I can feel that. I can feel that. But what about you, Fringe?
Oh, Jeff,
I mean, there's a lot that's been interesting to me. One thing I haven't been, and I've talked about it all year long and haven't been able to place, is that I think CLG is way better than we've seen them be. And I don't know what's wrong with the team. I have no prognosis. Whatever it is, if you're the doctor, what to say. I hope that this change up that they're doing in the jungler. it would be very hard for me to say Homie was the problem with that team. I don't think that there'd be any data to support it. Maybe something's going on behind the scenes, but we'll see if this swap up works. Because I think this team has always had the pieces to be way better than what we've seen be played out in front of us.
I agree. I mean, I've been getting debated by CLG during the prediction section for months at this point. And you just expect them to do more every single week. Do you think that Mast is the solution?
You know, it's funny because like Finch, I don't think that Homie FE was. I find it hard pressed to say that Homie is the problem. Aggro, you and I watch a ton of different games and everything for years on years. CLG is a unique team for me in all of my years watching sports, esports, etc. Yeah. I have never seen a team so damn stacked.
Can I ask a question?
Just have a zero.
Don't you follow an organization with a lot of really good players on it that always seems to underperform and never do as well as they're supposed to? Maybe like in Pittsburgh or anything like that. Anyone that would seem very similar to CLG, and you're like a big fan of them. Yeah. Anything like that?
No, I don't see that comparison.
I don't know, like a Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame wide receiver, Hall of Fame running back.
Anyway,
I'm
Hughesy's loving this conversation and nobody else. My point is that CLG is just a conundrum. I have no idea what's wrong with them, and it's kind of our job to know what's wrong with them, and we don't know what's wrong with them. So when I look at a roster change like Mask for Homie FA, it's so much less is Mask better than Homie FA, and so much more like nothing's working.
Yeah.
So do something.
Yeah.
And I'm with Finch. I think that these 3 weeks, you guys are talking to the desk, these 3 weeks in between, what I said on our talk show on Saturday was that game one, I'm going to be able to tell. CLG is either going to be a brand new team that we were supposed to see in the springtime or the same old song and dance, and I'm tired of it. I need to see one game, and I'll be able to tell you what CLG we see.
I mean, if I remember the bracket off the top of my head, they play up against Atletico round one, and then they have to go against Rival right after that, most likely. So they've got a tough schedule ahead of them. I agree. I think that
not Atletico.
CLG is the
no, you're right.
The kind of the car it's the lemon. You know what I mean? Where it's like, we don't know what's wrong with this. And then Mass is the mechanic, like hitting the car, just being like, I'm just getting rid of this. I'm smacking it. And we'll see if it works. Yeah. And it might just miraculously...
Maybe I Fonzie it. Maybe I just put another dent in it. Right?
Yeah,
Who
exactly.
knows?
Who knows what the actual outcome is going to be here. But I think that the car needed something to happen to it. And whether or not we found the right parts is remaining to be seen. But you could do worse than Mask in the jungle. That's for sure.
Mask in the springtime might have been the best jungler in North America.
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, I think he was.
In the summertime, might have been number 2. This is a guy. I'm sorry I'm legitimately sorry that he was on Trifecta. He's so much better than he has seemed this season. And although Homie wasn't the problem, in my opinion, Mask and inclusion, sure.
All right, well, fair enough. Anything else that you guys stood out to you during this season?
I'm a little bit surprised we're seeing so many of these burst mages when mages were complaining they didn't have damage, and now all of a sudden that's all they want to play.
Well,
right,
we could view this objectively if you want to, Finch.
I think that's the segment. This is very objective.
Right.
That's the idea.
Objectively, mages have less late game damage than they did in any other season before this.
Yes.
It's just true.
Yeah, I look at those Opwashes and the Zeus's, and I feel like they don't
also
do
hit
enough.
an 1,800 damage crush.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing that.
It's got pen on it. What do you want from me? I don't know. Look,
they used to do 2,200. That's
right,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's less, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's less, isn't it? Look, mages as a whole, I think that is an interesting conversation because mages had so much change coming in.
Yes, maybe
in the way that their role was played on the map, I think changed more than any other, including jungle, which is often hard to do when a jungle changes. But mages really have been able to do so much more at a competitive level. And in my own very strong mid bias aside, I think that the ending spot for mages with so much up in the air has not only been fun to watch, but I think pretty healthy for the game. There's so many different mages you can play. It's not like you're only able to play burst mages.
Right.
You can play control mages. You don't have to play mages. You can play hunters. You can play late game mages, early game mages, hunters, chalk apparently. Like you can play whatever you want in the mid lane. And I think that you couldn't have said that in many other seasons before this.
No, I don't think so. And I also think that we've hit a really good spot where it really does feel more like a baton passing a little bit more. But for a while, it was just hunters the whole time, and they would never let go of the baton no matter how hard you tried. And then there was a while where it was like mages were just deleting you at every point in the game. It didn't matter. Right now, it feels like you really do need your mage in the early to mid. And then once your hunter's online, you can kind of pass the baton over towards them, which is how we want it, right?
Listen, it's our job to watch Smite. We watch Smite 40 to 50 hours a week, realistically speaking, right? And we're talking about it most of the time. I would be disingenuous if I told you that every single season, every single game, this was the highlight of my day. Season 5, Smite has been the most fun for me to watch. Yeah. I had this conversation. We can talk about maybe season 2, but outside of season 2, season 5, hands down, objectively speaking, the best season of Smite to watch. Open, new talent.
There's no way. I will never buy an argument that season 2, which a lot of people say season 2 for whatever reason. Season 2 in retrospect is.
Thank you for addressing this, by the way.
Train wreck.
Thank you for
comparison. It was great. It was great. It was fun at the time, but we have learned so much since then. Yes. Can you imagine mid camps being worth more than anything else on the map ever? Like mid camps were up every minute. And you could get a 2-level lead if you got both of them. I mean, it was insane.
Hog.
Hog, yeah.
Hog.
Miss me with the season 2 is better argument forever.
Also me. That's the whenever I say that, people are like, what about season 2? I go, okay, sure, you can have that. I'll take my season 5. I'll take my Nox support at a 100%. Competitive level. I'll take my assassin solo. I'll take the level of talent we have. I'll take the competition. Look at Europe. Look at Europe. I'm so excited.
Well,
look at Europe.
How many good SML players have we had come up and like do well, right? You think about Paul and Moswell both came up to their mid and no, those teams are better because of them, like 100%.
That's the last conversation I want to hit before we head out. Ryan is introduce us to a topic about minor league players, because I think that the addition of the minor league and the idea of calling up players has been fantastic.
It's worked really well. I mean, as Finch said, Paul came up and immediately made Trifecta a better team than they were before. Moswell took a little bit of ramp up time, I'd say, for Splice, but they went from in spring, literally the worst team in North America, to summer, missing out on land by not a lot, but a little bit. And then ultimately towards the top end, now they're going to Worlds. Sam for Soccer's come up and looked very good for Trifecta, though he took a little bit of ramp up time as well. Half Devil came in and was better than Badjo, which, you know, he stepped over the bar, which was about ankle height. This was a pretty good year for minor league players and moving up to the top level. Yeah. I still think that as a whole, minor league has a lot of work to do on the bottom end. I think the bottom of the minor league is still, I mean, it gets rough down there at times. But the top end has been incredible to watch basically all year.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the minor league a little bit different. I kind of look at it as an incubator, right? If I'm a player on a minor league team, I'm trying to get wins, but I'm just trying to look good. And I'm trying to make my teammates look good because at some point the magical hand is going to pick up somebody and bring us to the pro league, right? So, you know, when it comes down to being on the bottom and everything, I'm just trying to look like the best player I can and allow my teammates to look like the best players they can. And I mean, like you said, you mentioned a lot of folks. Paul has just been the most surprising new talent to me in eons. He surprised me. I didn't think he'd translate well. He translated very well.
Agreed.
And then week 5 or 6, he went back to the minor league play style that I was afraid wouldn't translate. He took a lot of time to really like get the pro league mentality and then was like, you think I can play the Hebo mid here after all this time? And he destroyed. I didn't want to like Paul, but he's like one of my favorite players. I'm sorry.
He's really good. Having played against Paul quite a bit during my console league career.
Did you lose?
Not a lot. No, not against Paul. Maybe me individually, but we didn't lose that team an awful lot.
Carried by Chapo.
That was the whole game plan against that team was kill Paul and we win. It's kind of the same game plan now against Trifecta. Kill Paul and you win.
Pretty much.
But his level of skill has continued to grow. I think a lot of players, even the pro league, have plateaued, and we'll start to see them be shuffled out of the league over time. Paul continues to improve just about every week, and that's a quality that is unmatchable because if you're continuing to improve, even if you're below everyone else at the beginning, you will eventually catch up.
I think Paul is our next big superstar Smite player. I put my money on that on Saturday, and I'm going to double down today. I think Paul, over the next year or two, will become a Smite superstar like the likes of Barracuda, Baskin, whoever you want to worship. I think he has that ceiling. I really do.
He's not done yet. I mean, he's still got placements, so maybe he can start the lore story there in placement rounds.
Oh, I don't think Trifecta's winning anything this time around. I mean, him individually over the next year or two, going to be some crazy Smite to watch.
Something to watch out for sure, but that's moving forward. We still have the placement rounds and DreamHack and, of course, those minor league round robin playoffs. We're going to go over our predictions for that in just a moment, but first, it's our final regular season meme video.
Joe Bro.
Joe Bro number 1.
Boy!
And for as good as they have looked, Rival is kind of they really did Space Jam their powers away from them.
Didn't they?
I'm pretty sure that's what happened here. It's the most logical explanation in my mind.
Rival looking a
You
little
excited
bit
for Space Jam 2, by the way?
You know, I like LeBron a lot, but I think that I don't like Space Jam that much. I loved it as a kid, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't know how good that was.
Are you serious?
Like
right
as
now?
an adult, you know what I mean?
Finch, and this is saying a lot. This might be your worst take.
I mean, as an adult,
Good call, production. Yes, excellent work by production to cut Finch off. Are you kidding me, Finch? It's Space Jam, for God's sakes. I watched that movie literally within the last like 6 months, and it was phenomenal.
I haven't seen it since then, so I might be wrong. I'm just saying that I think I'm hedging my bets that maybe it won't be as good as I remember. I agree, I loved it as a kid.
What does it say about you as a person, Finch, that instead of saying, yes, I love Space Jam and I haven't seen it as a kid, but I probably hate it now? Like, how is that your thought process? Just be like, yeah, Space Jam rocks like everyone else on the freaking planet.
It was great. I loved it. I'm not on the I don't hate Space Jam. This is going to come out like the I hate dogs thing. I hate dogs.
Yeah, I think the only one where it's like very predictable is probably the Nene Kappa. for Kuzenbo.
Well, that's because the Nene has a mind of its own. I mean, that's
Exactly.
a living being. So you go, hey, Bill, the one that Kuzenbo's holding in this example's name is Bill. Like, hey, Bill, go kill Hindu Man underneath the tier 2 tower off this triple bounce. Yeet! And then you throw it out, and then it kills him.
And Hindu, I've actually seen Hindu die like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't that happen in the pros?
It did.
match?
Captain Twig. Captain Twig was the one whispering sweet nothings to Bill as he tossed him underneath the tier 2. Shouts to Bill.
After party, Finch, on that Sunday, November 18th. Get your tickets now for HRX afterparty.eventbrite.com.
You never know when your calendar is going to be important, you know, so make sure you put all your events on it. That way, if it comes up 30 years later, you got it. You never know, really. So that's one thing I would suggest for you all at home as well. Just write down exactly what's going on.
Thinking you were made for me. Isn't it my birthday yet? Cause I gotta say, you're looking like a gift for me. Wrapped up nice and neat, baby.
Man, we have some fun. I'll tell you what, Finch had a hot day that day, didn't he? It's all from the same.
It was on the same day.
Yeah,
Including the Space Jam. That couldn't have been all the same day.
I don't know if
Ooh,
that
I
one
hate
was the same.
dogs.
No, it wasn't. But good Lord, what a day that was for Finch. I will say that the meme videos, nothing makes me laugh harder more regularly than those meme videos.
Yeah.
Joe, bro, man.
I actually do have tears in my eyes.
Great work. Yeah. Hindu looks at me, it just has like tears streaming down his face. Was that the same day? Just crying super hard.
I was like, wait, what?
Joe, bro, and make it happen. So we good now? We can all
I'm
recover.
never dancing in that room ever.
Oh man, it's really good. We do all love Space Jam on this desk, right? Before we move forward.
I think the subject matter could have been better. Any other sport that was actually decent would have been more enjoyable. But, you know, like...
Right, yeah, we all wanted to watch Space Jam cricket version.
No,
Yeah,
baseball. I was thinking baseball because you like baseball.
You were thinking
How cool would it
baseball,
have
yeah.
been just to see all those little, characters on the bases trying to catch balls?
Didn't Space Jam start out with baseball?
It started out with some baseball, yeah. 'Cause
And Michael Jordan.
did.
Michael Jordan
Nice.
played baseball. There you go.
He did, and he could have used some of the powers that other people stole. That's all I'm saying. Actually, little known fact, Michael Jordan wasn't as bad at baseball as everyone thinks he was.
Oh, no, I heard he was actually all right.
Yeah, he actually wasn't that bad, but
Even I knew that.
well, there you go.
I got a clue.
You got that outside perspective. That's
I
why
did.
everyone kind of assumes he sucked, but he actually wasn't too bad. All right, let's go over these minor league games. Like we've been talking about, it's a best of 3 round robin. We start with Europe today, so we'll start there, I suppose. It's Insignum, it's Optimus Gang, and it's the Poppies. We'll start with Optimus Gang. Does this team have a hope without Johnny there?
I don't believe so. I think that with the way that Poppies have been looking in the past couple of weeks of their SML performances, I understand that those are best of 1 settings, but it doesn't make that much of a difference between a best of 1 for these teams because they are all experienced enough by this point. They've all played in the best of 3 beforehand, and I just don't think that without Johnny, Optimus Gang is going to be able to pull this one off.
I got to agree with Taco on this too, because I do feel, especially week 6, they didn't have Johnny there either, I believe. They used Get Fisher to kind of warm him up ready for these placements.
Yep.
Problem being is they faced Poppies in week 6, and Poppies ended up winning that one out. I'm confident that Poppies can take him down, and then I'm looking at Insignum like, well, if Poppies can do it, no offense to the Poppies, Insignum are too. I think Optimus Gang are the bottom team coming into this when the rest of the season, the rest of the split was not the story at all.
And it's not that Optimus Gang isn't a talented team without
not
Johnny. It's just that losing your jungler, who also is a big portion of your picks and bans, and what you focus on during those picks and bans is going to hurt any team. But
Exactly.
Specifically this team, I think it really, really hurts them. I agree with you guys. I think that maybe they're even with the Poppies in chances to win this from here, but this makes Insignum the default favorite. I mean, the games between Insignum and Optimus Gang this split were all very, very close,
They were.
and Johnny was a difference maker in a lot of those. It was also the fact that Insignum refused to zone for Fire Giants, but maybe they learned their lesson on that one. Does Insignum just have that? Is this home free for them at this point if we're all feeling like they're the favorites?
I think Poppies have something to prove. Honestly, like, take into account, we always talk about Optimus Gang, they were a former Pro League team until the league got cut down to 6 teams instead of 8 in Europe. Well, Poppies were also one of those teams, and Poppies have been around a long, long time. Warchi moving to the mid lane seems to have done them a lot of good with this roster for Poppies. And as the season progressed, they've done well. they're not favorites. Like, they're not favorites coming into this, but man, I want them to win. I'm actually really rooting for the Pappies.
I think I would have to lean a little bit more towards Insignum, though, because of the fact that Insignum actually won the Summer LAN when they played against North America. Very nice to me facing them, and I just feel like all Insignum have really done is just build even more off of that summer synergy that they finally finished developing. And right now, I mean, they had a bit of a rough start at the beginning of the fall split for minor league, but once that kind of smoothed it out past the first couple of weeks, I think that we've seen a new heightened sense or level of Insignum, and I just think that this team's a little bit too established by now.
I get your point. I'm just concerned that with how they look through the fall split, they came out from the summer, they won the LAN, sure, but then they go back to the regular season, and teams start taking games off and making them bleed again, which is something that I didn't expect. I expected them, like you said, to put the push on, but it wasn't really the case.
But it is a best-of-1 environment for the duration of the minor league, and I do think that that altered what Insignum wanted to reveal. I think that a lot of teams, and Insignum being one of them, were mostly gearing towards just trying to make it into that top 3 slotting to begin with. I feel like Optimus Gang were kind of showing everybody exactly what they were capable of, and just looking for the direct challenge because they felt like they could mechanically outperform any other team. But then they lose Johnny, so I think that's going to severely impact them. And as for the Poppies, I think consistency is probably my primary concern for them.
Man, I just hope they're consistent today. I so want them to make the LAN. I don't know why.
It'd be fun.
I just think I've not met the Pappies in person before. I've seen them over the years from the original Season 1 days, and they've always been grinding away, and they always get to the cusp.
Almost there, and they're almost there this time, but
maybe Season 5.
We all have Insignum, it looks like, for our minor league predictions. Warchi, I think, the man to watch, though, for the Poppies and how he can do in that mid lane. He's been a big part of their success when the Poppies are having success, which is more often than they aren't these days, that's for sure. Again, that's going to start right after this, at 11 a.m., right after Esports Weekly. But then tomorrow at 11 a.m., we've got the North American side, and that side seems to be a little bit more wide open in my mind. Very nice to me, has been the top card basically all split long, basically all year long, well, since summer at least, but these last few weeks, they have looked really, really vulnerable.
They did have substitutes, though, in the final week of SML, and I do think that that also made a little bit of a difference. I believe it was Elpadog that came to fill in for Amul, and that's bound to always change up the team synergy a little bit, especially when you consider that I think Elpadog also flexed into a god pick choice that he wasn't necessarily comfortable with, and I still firmly believe that Very Nice to Me is probably your public favorite, just because of the fact that they are one of the more notable teams for the minor league. But I think Armada is definitely right behind them.
Right, they've got Wowie.
Armada got Cope, Sops, Benny Q. Like, I've seen those names around for a while, especially Cope and Sops. Those two have been around for quite a while. And Sops now in the mid lane position seems to have been doing okay for himself. Once upon a time was mainly focused on the Hunter role. But
that's right.
Looking at, I actually do think Armada have a real shot tomorrow in this one, but it depends how Very Nice to Me and Sanguine play too. Obviously, I think Sanguine definitely are the team that are the bottom of the bunch, very similar to Optimus Gang, not for the same reasons though.
I think a lot is also just going to be riding on the back of Solo or Troll, because I feel as the times that Very Nice to Me do suffer losses, it's because of Solo or Troll with his overextending tendencies and kind of following into those ranked habits. I would think is probably the best way to call them, because a lot of these players are just members who were really strong in the rank scene, and then they end up getting brought up into a more competitive aspect. I think that he, throughout the year, has definitely showed progress, but still has his moments.
This is a team in Sanguine that it kind of flew under the radar basically all year long. Diesel in particular, I think, kind of flew under the radar, but he had some really excellent performances as an ADC for the Sanguine team, and they end up making it to this top 3, and I really don't think that they are completely out of it by any stretch. I think that they've got a pretty decent shot here at winning this today.
They've got a tomorrow. They've got a shot. I'd say no one's not got a shot around robbing best of 3, right? But at the same time, I think the reward for them is making to the stage this year. I don't think they go past this. I don't think they do well at the international stage at the placements to try and get themselves to the DreamHack Live. I think this is where they will probably end up resting their season in a good way. In my eyes, I think it's a good way to get to the top 3 in the minor league and go, hey, we did the hard work.
It's your foot in the door.
Yeah,
That's what this feels like for Sangwin. And I also think that one big thing to me about the North American SML for these top 3 teams is that these players are a little bit more familiar with each other, I
Very
think,
much so.
in comparison to that of Europe, because these are the same players that you will have every single day in your ranked games. And these guys, not only that, have been challenging each other in the Challenger Cup prior to the minor league ever having even been a thing. And so now this is a fairly tall task to see which of these teams is truly going to step it up. I think that Sangwin has a chance, but it's a very slim one, and it would involve, I think, Very Nice to Me or Armada to drop the ball.
I think that UG, if Sangwin's going to do it, UG's got to show up and show why he was considered for SPL at the beginning of this year and not have those same sorts of question mark performances that we've seen a little bit more of than I think he would like so far this year. As for this Armada team, you went over it a little bit earlier, Graham. This is a team that I think has just as good of a shot almost as Very Nice to Me, with Armada stepping up as of late and Very Nice to Me slipping down in my mind. Cope has been the best jungler in North American minor league, I think, since summer. He's been very, very consistent and very, very good in that role. You look at Bruh, and that solo lane has been there for a long time, played very well. I think that this is a team that can make it happen for
Realistically,
Armada.
Very Nice to Me, Armada, I think is a coin flip. Like, when it came to the vote, I'm like, I'll go Very Nice to Me because they've got the running form and the player names to back it up a little bit more so. But I think Armada versus them is a coin flip, and either team's coming. If anything, Armada might have a little bit of an outside better chance.
So it looks like you two go for Very Nice to Me. I believe I selected Armada to be the North American representative. So that puts us in a position where maybe I can catch up to you, Graham.
I'll change my vote to Armada. I knew this was going to happen, so I'll change my vote to Armada.
What?
Then.
You can't just do that. That's not fair.
I just did.
That's not fair at all.
The games haven't been played yet, Ryan.
That's not fair.
You knew you'd try and scam me.
I'm sure you are all about the gambling. I gambled last week, and we got the percentages coming up after this. This is the schedule.
A good gambler doesn't gamble when he doesn't need to.
Well, that is, you gamble every time you can, Graham. That's not a good gambler. Just gambles all the time. Exactly. The Poppies versus Optimus Gang will be our opening game. Right after this, Optimus Gang versus Insignum, and then to close it out, Insignum versus the Poppies. At least that is all we will need on paper. We could end up needing more based on these round robins.
If Optimus Gang come out and produce fireworks, they beat both those teams and we'll be over. We won't need the Insignum versus Poppy set.
That's right.
That's the way it'll be there. And then tomorrow, Sangwin could do the same thing in North America.
If Sangwin goes 2-0 tomorrow to start us off, then we don't even need Game 3. So it could be a short day, could be a long day, could be a medium day, could be a good day. It will be a good day. I can tell you that. It'll be a day. That is for sure. As I mentioned, I do want to see our percentages and how we ended up, because I know I risked it for the biscuit last week, and I don't think it paid off. It did not. Hey, Taco got Mouse over
job,
Rival.
Taco,
Yeah, she nailed that one. It was this trifecta versus Luminosity that really got us in trouble.
Let's just take a minute, right? Even though I did win, I'm
what's giddy?
not going to rub that in at all, right? I just want to say, even though I did win, all of us over a 70%
pretty good
win ratio.
Not too bad.
I think if we all went the exact same thing every time and kept it with less spice, we would probably all come in at 80%.
Are you trying to make excuses for why you're bottom now? Is that what you're doing?
No, I mean, I love living life on the edge.
Taco definitely had the spiciest picks all year.
I voted for SK in a set. Just keep it that way, okay? We can't all vote the same thing every week. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think I picked SK once this year. And
there was no reason to.
That was intentional.
Unless it was for which team's going to come bottom of the SPL. That's what I picked them for.
That's right. We'll go over that kind of stuff. I was going to say, talk about SK and all that kind of stuff later on this year. Graham definitely picked Very Nice to Me, so we'll see if I can catch up in percentage. I don't even know if one pick is enough to get me 2 percentage points. It almost certainly is.
I think you need both of them and him to get them wrong.
But we both picked Insignum for EU. So you want to change that pick?
Make him change.
I'll let you change that one.
Just have production change it anyway.
Oh, what's that? Jameson saying that. Oh, you picked Optimus Gang. Actually, you mistyped it. They put it in wrong. So cool. So you've got Optimus Gang. I've got Insignum. I've got Armada. You've got Very Nice to Me. And nice and easy. Yeah. Cool.
Sure.
Cool. Awesome. And that does it for our regular season Esports Weekly. Wait, I want to monologue a little bit. Can we go over here for a second? Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Seriously, thank you so much to everybody who watched Esports Weekly during this season. It's been something that we've been wanting to do here forever, and we had a great time doing it. We've got to give huge shout outs to production. This is a pain in the butt to run. Trust me, especially when you've got us doing it for you. So huge shout outs to Tyler, who started it, and Jameson, who picked it up. Jennifer as well on the graphics has to put up with a lot for us changing our picks all the time. So thank you to those and everyone else in production who was able to help us out. And again, thank you so much for watching Esports Weekly. Again, we will have more whenever it comes time for the placements, but that means we're taking a couple weeks off So get ready for it as we get ready for placements. Make sure you stick around minor league right after this, as I've been saying, 11 a.m. to figure out who will be the EU representative. But for now, you can peach it.
trust. It could hurt my love, y'all, but you really got the choice, but have some. We all fall down, never getting used to feel numb. It's getting hard to overcome some. Knowledge to be free from this gun. One shot and I'm down. Oh, I know that all is my fault. Never learn from it all like a fast